welcome back to the Vinyl Word Podcast. As always, I'm Steve Beach.
And I'm Brian Mayer. Hello.
And my son Cameron Beach, across from here, our lovely producer.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure things are working properly and all that good jazz.
Yep.
So
Not smooth jazz.
No, smooth jazz is just really bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like borderline elevator music.
Mm-hmm.
So we are back with youth education. This side, it's physical fitness. So we go from getting drunk to getting fit.
Yeah. He is talking to teenagers. Both of these topics make total sense.
Both of those topics make total sense. You can contact us by email, vinylword22@gmail.com. And if you look at any of the episode summaries on Spotify or wherever you listen, little link that says text us. You can send us a text. Just get on your little smartphone thing there and send us a text and let us know, what you're doing as you listen. Like some people like to garden, some people like to drive around, some people like to jog, some people just like to sit aimlessly on a couch and listen to a podcast for 5 hours.
There are people who do that? Don't do that.
I'm just guessing.
If you're listening and doing that, get up. Do something. Let us be an additive spice to the quality of your life. Let us not be a meal.
Right.
Very
exactly.
clear on this.
Exactly. So you can also follow us on Facebook at the Vinyl Word Podcast.
Uh-huh.
And we are also on X.
And Blue Sky.
Yes, X and Blue Sky, which are similar platforms. Mm-hmm. So Brian usually heads up a lot of the jokes that we post on there.
Unfortunately.
No.
We're trying to find a better person. So,
but the sad thing is we don't have any money.
Correct.
To hire anybody.
Absolutely.
So if you're a comedian at large that just likes to be funny, let us know.
I right now am the best that money can buy, that money being zero.
Right, exactly. So as per usual, let's check in with our good buddy, Charlie Cutler.
Mm-hmm.
It seems to me that... Oh, hello, this is Charlie Cutler.
Hi, Charlie.
Let's just talk for a couple of minutes. It seems to me that a lot of us are like that little statue of the three monkeys. The ones that sit side by side, and underneath them it has printed, hear no evil,
Knievel.
see no evil,
Knievel.
speak no evil.
Knievel.
I'm sure you've seen them. The first one had his paws over his ears, and the middle one his paws over his eyes, and the third one had his paws over his mouth.
Junk.
I guess you can still get those three monkeys somewhere.
At the monkey
They
store?
seem to show up again
At the zoo?
for each new
As they
generation.
just run around in the wild in your backyard.
Now, the thing I want to talk about was that people used to think that monkey motto was a wonderful example of the right way to live.
Monkey
I can remember
and
that
furry?
the lady across
throwing
the street
goo at people when you're mad.
Mrs.
Right.
Lawrence, her name was, Mrs. John Lawrence, had those three monkeys on the top of her upright piano with a doily.
Conversely, she also had three monkeys
And
in
she
her
always
car.
used to tell the boys in the neighborhood.
It was like a scene
"Be
from
like those
Jumanji."
monkeys And hear no evil, see no evil, and speak no evil. She said that if we did that, we'd all turn out to be fine, upstanding young men.
Mm-hmm. Yay.
Well, it seems to me that it follows that it's no good in this life to just be negative, like those
that's a
three
negative.
monkeys.
No, that would be
Nothing
combined
but
with
hear
negative.
no evil,
Yeah.
see no evil, and speak no evil. That's worth considering, isn't it?
No. So our lives should be like those monkeys from Madagascar.
Of course we're going to throw poo at him.
Right. Exactly. Good old Charlie.
Yeah. But now we get into the meat of it, which is side 2 of the record we did last time.
Yes.
Which
Physical fitness.
Right. Side 1 was drinking, must we?
Yes.
And I think the answer unequivocally was
Yes.
yeah. But, don't be crazy. But this one's physical fitness.
Yes.
All right. Well, if we're ready, without further ado, Steve, let's drop the needle and get this going.
I'm sure you're all aware of the physical fitness program that's been going.
Steroids?
And I hope you're aware of the fact that as we have had all these advances in science and we've had all these beautiful conveniences, we have let ourselves become
DoorDash,
very
Netflix.
poor in physical fitness. Many times we're accused of doing it because we're lazy.
Yeah,
This isn't
and
really the case in most instances. Usually it's because it is less convenient to be physically fit.
that's why I never bother.
Everybody naturally takes the line of least resistance.
That's
If you're
the
going to
couch
walk
potato
through
motto.
a forest, for example, and there was one particular path that twisted and turned and had many vines and branches overhanging, or if
Friday
there
the
were a
13th.
wide path going directly through the forest, you'd always take the one that went through on a wide path because it was easier. Now, this doesn't mean that it's right, but it does mean that we should not be accused of just being lazy. Sometimes we
fat.
just
Miss
don't
you,
know
Eric.
what we should be doing.
Adulthood.
Many things come up, such as the fact that most children go to school in buses or
Children
are
go to
driven
school
there.
in
As a matter of fact,
buildings,
I'm always
silly.
intrigued with the fact that someone brought to my attention this statement that the person in school who had the greatest amount of exercise was the one who drove his car to school. Obviously, he had to walk there partly because he was parking. Is this physical fitness to be able to drive and park either in a bus or in your own car, or to be so close to a school?
Just not
Well,
within
actually, it
500
isn't.
yards.
Now, I don't want to take the
Anything
other
you wanna
side,
share,
and I'm sure
Steve?
you've heard this
Nope.
either from your parents or your grandparents,
Okay.
that, boy, when I was your age, I had to walk a mile to school or back and forth 4 times.
In
Well, that was
5
fine.
feet
They
of
had to do
snow.
it, and it was unfortunate, but if they'd had the buses, they'd have been riding too, so don't let yourself be fooled. Let's look, though, to the reason for physical fitness. The first is that if you are not physically fit, you are going to shorten your lifespan.
Just less
Now,
years.
I'm telling
to
you
eat
at your
bacon.
age because if you will keep it in mind, you can extend your lifespan and a
Not your
pleasurable
waistband.
lifespan
Yep.
at a later time.
Because those years at the end,
We're
Steve,
not
are the
quite so
best.
bad as we've
Right.
been led to believe, but we
We're
have so
way
much
worse, man.
more distance to accomplish that we should get at it. What age does physical fitness begin?
60?
Actually, it
No.
should begin the minute you're born.
Okay.
Everyone should be conditioned, should keep himself in physical status that would permit him to do practically anything that
Like
was
flying?
within normal range without putting a strain on his body. No matter what his age.
You okay, Steve?
This is true
Yeah,
in
I'm
grade
just
school,
using
in junior
my
high, in
arm.
high school, in college. It's true when a person is in his 50s and 60s.
Dang it.
The medical profession as a whole does not believe that people should quit being active just because they have become middle-aged. The converse is more important.
So is
Keep
the
active.
Adidas.
But
And
there
the
is a
Nikes.
point, and this is one I want to drive home to you right now
Who's
when it
gonna
isn't
drive
important to
you
you, so that you might remember it when it is
tonight?
important. And that is that you should do something physically with vigor daily,
What,
all your
why do
life.
I have to use vinegar?
And
Who's Victor?
continue this through
Never mind.
your middle ages and through your senior ages. And in doing this, you will be able to keep your circulation at its optimum.
Circulation.
Some people do,
Roll
as they
out.
become 40, 50, and 60 years of age, expire in the midst of physical activity. Generally speaking, this is an activity that they have not become acclimated to.
You have to
They
adapt to a
have
new
not
climate?
conditioned
How
themselves.
warming.
The best example is probably in the snow
Oh,
country.
Minnesota,
When the
don't you
first
know?
snowstorm comes and somebody grabs the shovel to go out and shovel and then has a heart attack.
Well, thanks, Captain
The reason,
Sunshine.
obviously, is that he is not conditioned for doing it. Or take it the other way around.
In
When
Russia,
spring comes
snow
and the grass
shovels
begins
you.
to grow, and someone decides to spade up all of the garden or to do a hurry-up job with a lawnmower,
What?
he might have a difficulty. Does this apply to you? No, it doesn't right now, but I think you should know about it. And the
is he
reason I
talking to
believe
me?
that you should be
You
aware
know
of it
what you did.
is for your own good in the future and to convey it to your parents.
Oh, mate.
Before entering into any activity,
Danny?
you should have a physical examination. Fortunately, we have been able to get most people to take physical exams periodically,
Cramp much?
That's
particularly
bloody
as they
funny.
relate to their children. In other words, you're having more evaluations than your parents ever
And
had.
Failing
And this is
miserably.
worthwhile. And it should be done before each school year
And only then.
in order to know how much physical activity you should enter into.
If your HMO covers
Then
it.
within
Right.
this physical activity, provided your examination shows that you may do it, you must consider your individual activity away from school, your individual activity in school, and finally your team activity either away from school or in school.
What? I'm
From the individual
confused. Where?
standpoint, there are such things as exercises that you might do at home, push-ups and pull-ups,
Sit-ups,
and all of the various
throw-ups.
exercises, I might add that all of your parents went through, your fathers at least, while in service.
Yeah, my dad's favorite exercise
In addition
was
to
12
this,
ounce
you'll have
curls.
I'm sure
individual
it was.
activities that you must go through in the school, certain challenges that you must meet, certain standards that you must pass. And the only way to get to them is by practicing it. It's rather like learning piano or learning spelling.
Potty
You
training.
don't get it merely by
Me
looking
has
at
to
it
go
and talking
wee-wee.
about it. You have to work at it. You have to learn to practice it. And finally, it in itself improves itself. But we don't want everybody to become a beach
Whoa,
junkie either.
whoa,
He,
buddy.
he
Anyone
said
who
beach,
spends
Brian.
all of
You
his
don't want
time
to
on
become a
physical
beach
fitness and
like me.
insufficient time
Okay.
on the books is going to end up without being able to have a future that is ideal for him.
Just ask
But
Stefan
you
Hawking.
should certainly combine
Club astrology
both.
has
And
everything.
physical activity is of a
Telescopes,
major
telephones,
consequence.
Teletubby, telemarketers.
What about team endeavor? This is entirely up to your own pattern of life, to your own physical abilities as determined by your personal physician, and also whether or not you can enter into it because you have the abilities
The
from the
X-Men.
standpoint of the coach. But team sports will help on the individual conditioning, and at the
And
same
social media
time will
provides
keep a
emotional
great deal
conditioning.
from the standpoint of associating with others.
Or dissociating if things go
The
poorly.
suggestion,
Right.
of course, for activities is that you maintain your own ideal physical fitness for your own sake, and then secondly, apply this to team activity.
Like kickball.
Or show
If you
wire.
do both,
What?
you are able then to take the most out of the physical fitness program that will be presented to you. Now, there are a number of misconceptions referable to physical activities, weight,
I'm
the
waiting.
hardening and the toughening of muscles and of abdomens and so on.
And
so on
thoraxes.
so forth. One of them, I look now primarily to the gals,
Sure.
is a misconception that by bouncing a hip against a door jamb, she can cut down the fat content of the hip and will toughen it up to make smaller hips.
What?
This is not true.
Obviously.
She must, first of all, diet.
What did he
She
just
must
say?
Diet.
down on the foods
Okay.
Diet.
that are not essential. And then, secondly, enter into physical activities that she can do herself. By this, I mean the use of the leg or the hip by doing given exercises will toughen up
is
and tighten
going
up the
on
muscle,
right now?
but will not take the fat off. And I now come to the second misconception that goes along with this, and that is that physical exercise will cause you to lose weight.
Ozempic.
It can, but listen to this point. You must walk between 32 and 36 miles to lose 1 pound of weight. Does it sound as though a little activity in gym or in Phy Ed for an hour during
Phy
school
Ed?
or
What the heck
perhaps
is
for a couple
Phy
of hours
Ed?
It's a
after school
rapper
will
like
make you
Flo
lose weight?
Rida.
Oh.
No. However, if you take a proper diet along with it, you then can condition yourself so that you have lack of this increased fat and at the same time have increased the ability of your muscles and also have taken the size of them and increased them. It may be
Ew.
interesting for you to know that each little muscle fiber is of a given size. Let's say, for example, the size of a lead
I
pencil.
was in the pool.
And as this muscle fiber is used, it begins to bulge so that after a period of time of marked usage, of increasing the pressure on it, it will bulge so that it might be the size of a
Is
fountain pen.
that better?
No.
Thus, by using your muscles in given exercises, you can increase their size.
Steve, what is
It's
this?
very
Oh, no.
easy for a doctor, for example, to examine a patient and say, well, how many weights do you lift or how much can you press?
Or what is the
Because
airspeed
the muscles
velocity,
that come with
velocity of an unladen
weightlifting
swallow?
are muscles that usually are not used. So if they bulge, the doctor knows that that person is lifting weight.
I've seen this movie before.
Another
not.
misconception is that you may, by having someone massage you or work over your muscles by
What
rubbing
What does
and using
bulging have to do with
electrical units
massaging?
and so on,
Um,
increase the ability of that
Oh,
muscle and
sick.
also the size of it, and that using the same kind of massage or rub down and using
like Phys
again
Ed
some
2,
of these
electric boogaloo.
electric units be able to diminish the fat. Neither one is true. The only way that you
I
can make
know.
your muscle increase in size is to use it.
Or steroids?
If a person
we
has
did that
had
joke.
polio, no matter how much in physical therapy and rehabilitation the physical therapist works with that leg,
he
that
will
may have
still
been
lose the
involved,
leg.
he can do nothing but keep the joints moving and the muscles
rolling 'em
having
up?
been stretched.
Not that kind of
The
joint.
only
Oh.
time that the muscle begins to return to its own thickness, as I described the lead pencil,
Ew.
is during the time that he begins to use the muscle himself. So that any time you're misled by all the advertising or by friends
Sorry.
to the point that you can eat all you want and have rub downs and massages and still be in physical condition, remember it isn't true. We're all inherently lazy. And since we are somewhat lazy, we would like an easy way to lose weight and to condition ourselves. Physical fitness, in other words.
We know.
And this is the reason that there's so much advertising on radio and on television for certain medications to use or certain diets to follow
Fen-phen,
or going in
Atkins,
for
meth.
certain massages
Whoa.
and rub down in order to keep you physically fit. It isn't true. There's only one way to do it, and that is for you to do it yourself.
Dang it.
Now, I mentioned the lifting of weights. Weightlifting in itself is fine for the right person, but it, again, must start slowly and gently and gradually,
Like
and must
foreplay.
come only after the person has had a complete physical examination.
Like foreplay.
Following this, the lifting of weights over a period of time, may I repeat, this should be regularly and
may
should
not
go
repeat.
over each day or at least every other day. Then you will begin to develop your own muscle bundles. They'll thicken up. And as
Muscle
they
bundle.
thicken up, your ability will increase. And as your ability increases, you are able, therefore, to lift more weight.
Consult your doctor if you've lifted weights
Now,
after more than
the
4
challenge
hours.
that we all experience is that if somebody can press so many pounds of weights, I think I'd like to try to compete with him.
Like
and your
foreplay?
first thought is, I'll try
I'll
that
allow
one
it.
and see if I can't beat him now. That's
Ew.
trouble. You're inviting it. You can't do it. If you can do it, you're foolish to do it the first time anyway. So start with what you know you can do and do it gently and slowly.
Like
and then the
Lenny?
next one, and then the next
Steinbeck,
before
Steve?
attempting to
Hey,
lift weights.
Wow.
One of the dangers of lifting weights, by the way, and one of the dangers of
Is that they're
certain of the
heavy.
exercises that you may enter into, is the possibility of a rupture
Rupture?
or hernia. And if there is a tendency, particularly this is true in boys, for a relaxed ring in the groin area, then the chance of popping a hernia through
Isn't
the
that where
screw
Aslan
opening is
lives?
quite real.
Yeah, hernia.
So be very careful before entering into it. And if there's any question, check with your personal
Hey,
physician.
what?
The same one who prescribed
Now, I've
alcohol
stressed
inside one.
certain aspects of
Callback.
physical fitness that relate to you, but if you'll notice, more importantly, to your parents.
Yeah, they can get yoked
The
too.
reason I say
right.
this is that you now must start into a program that's right for conditioning yourself. But as you do this, you can help your very pleasures of life with your parents
Ew.
by having
Dude has
them
an
do it
Oedipus
also.
complex.
And if you'll do this, you can help increase their life expectancy. Anyone who is overweight by 25%
He's making that
has
up.
between 8
Just
and 10
random
times
number.
as much chance of
Yeah, it's
developing
very
diabetes
arbitrary.
as someone who is normal weight. If it's more than 10%, it's dangerous, and preferably it should be normal weight and in some instances even a little less.
That'd be abnormal.
Now,
Mhm.
if you're wondering about the physical fitness program and this is just a bunch of baloney, I want to
baloney.
assure you that I've had the
Baloney.
opportunity of observing students in Europe
Ew. I guess that's
as
legal
well as
there.
in the United States. And I want you to know that the physical activities into which most of the European boys and girls enter is far greater than that which we do.
I
They
bet
do have buses and automobiles, but not so much as we. They do have bicycles, but they use them. They do enter into certain competitive athletics,
Oh, like
but they are
cricket
put
in Europe,
only to the
maybe?
point where they are able to maintain themselves. They're never in a position where they overdo.
Dude, it's kind of a
And
dick.
as they grow older, they recognize the value of continuing to improve themselves. You remember that medically speaking, you can increase your
No,
life
Brian.
expectancy.
Oh.
You can have a much more pleasurable time
Mm.
as the years progress. And by doing this, you probably can help set an example for your parents. I hope you do, so that they
No,
will
I
help
don't.
their life expectancy. And as a last little comment, if you enter into some of the athletic endeavors that can be used through life, such as tennis and golf,
Pickleball
and
or
the
Krav
kinds of
Maga.
sports, swimming and so on, bicycling, by the way, which is a sport,
Really,
you
Captain
will
Obvious?
be able to do this for the rest of your life with your family, and by reason of staying in condition, live longer, and at the same time, by reason of accomplishment, be able to do a good job and enjoy yourself, perhaps even having a scratch handicap.
Sounds like eczema to me.
Dr. Phy Ed here. Do you want to get stronger? I'm talking punch a moving car and flip over you stronger? Want to change from a lead pencil to a beach jockey in 2 short weeks? If so, then come to the Beefcakes Gym and Protein Palace. We focus only on exercises that make you swole. No cardio. None. No toning classes. Not a chance. And no stretching. Get that yoga crap out of here. Arms, guns, legs, pistons, and abdominals. Abs. You'll get so jacked you won't fit in your car and your family will be worried for your mental state. Do you want a muscle bundle with bulge? Bundled
pounds of bulge.
Need nutrition before or after? The Protein Palace has you covered like a steroid cream. Juice up with our 11,000 calorie pre-workout smoothie packed with more protein than your body has room for. Then get our recovery special, which is just that scene in Good Will Hunting where Robin Williams says it's okay over and over to Matt Damon.
I just need to feel something.
Finally, our motivational posters throughout the gym share encouraging phrases like, every day is leg day when you're a spider.
If you were a pirate, you'd be Captain Jacked Sparrow.
Strengthening of the body is good, but it won't fill the hole in your soul.
If God didn't want us to have steroids, he wouldn't have made scientists.
Good thing we have Band-Aids because you are cut.
The Beefcake Gym is located behind that closed Starbucks. For more information, call 1-800-555-BEEF. Oh, and our trainers work the phones, so be prepared to explain everything slowly, using small words.
That was an interesting record.
Yeah,
He went a little weird on some points.
he did go a little weird. He went a lot weird in some places. Too.
Yes, he did. And I know we've talked about this before on other records, but it's always interesting how things are pronounced.
Uh-huh.
Like you're not acclimated, you're acclimated.
Yes.
And then Phy Ed? I always called it Phys Ed, like physical ed, not Phy Ed.
No one calls it Phy Ed. Like there's a reason for that, because that's not how the word sounds when you say the word. It's
Right.
not physical.
Right, right,
Physical.
right. So you don't say Phy, yeah. If anything, you should call it Phy Ed, which sounds dumb.
Well, here's the thing. Dude was reading it.
Yeah,
I
I know.
He was purely reading a script,
I know.
and he saw PHY, and
And
his
he just
brain,
saw Phi.
Yep, that's exactly correct.
Yeah, yeah. And somewhere else he says referable,
Yes.
not referable or something, or in reference to,
Yeah.
just referable.
I know. It was, and I'm wondering, I'd have to go back and re-listen. Maybe he meant preferable, and it
Maybe.
was just a typo.
Maybe. Yeah. Oh, that's true. That would probably make more sense if it did say preferable.
Right.
Preferable to instead of, but he clearly says referable.
Oh, he sure does.
Yeah.
So I love how, like we're just giving these to teenagers, and we're like, hey, teenagers, be the same.
Right.
Everyone should have this. Everyone should look a certain way. And by the way, ladies, banging your hips on door jams for hours at a time, it's not gonna help.
Yeah. I always wonder why my wife always walks through the hallway just kind of banging her hips on doorways on purpose. Now I know.
Right. And just like counting them off. One, two.
2, 3, 4.
It's the most lovely kind of madness.
Yeah.
Like, what an interesting glimpse into the past.
Right. Yeah.
People, real students listen to this.
I know.
Steve.
I know. And who ever heard of those exercises where you bang your hips on doorways to lose weight?
Like, clearly he was.
Why do I have bruises on my hips? I have no idea.
Right. Why are my hips have chips that are like bone fragments are floating through my system?
Oh my gosh.
Right. It wasn't polio that was taking teenage girls down.
It was doorway hip bumping.
Yeah. Just, oh boy.
Madness.
It is.
So, yeah. So what are like 3 things we've learned here today?
Okay, well, the first one is, he went a little Windy Ward here. I'm going to do a little callback.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
He was just like, hey, listen, y'all are kind of ugly and y'all are kind of fat.
Right.
You need
Especially in the hips.
Yeah, you need to do better. Like, like you will only be attractive if you look a certain way.
Right.
That's what he's saying.
Exactly.
It's just like body conformity, not body positivity.
Right. Not by any stretch of imagination.
All right, what about another one?
So that's the first one. Yeah. Evidently, bulges are important if you're a guy,
Yeah,
but not if you're a woman.
What, like, yeah, his muscle bulges and muscle bundles.
Yes.
And I would have loved it if he just would have had a little sidebar and explained the difference between bunches and bundles.
Yes.
You know, like, when you begin lifting weights, you'll just have bunches of muscles. But then, as you
You'll have-
continue, you want them to become bulges of muscles.
Yeah, bundles of muscles, bundled muscles,
Yeah.
muscle bundles.
Yeah, there's a lot going on
Yeah.
there.
I would love to hear that. Like, not that I watch, like, weightlifting shows, or whatever.
Mhm.
But it'd be funny. Here comes Jack with a 26-inch muscle bundle,
Yep. Yeah.
or it's advertised on like, for these different gyms and stuff they can join.
Mhm.
Increase your muscle bundle.
Yep. Turn your bundles into bulge.
Right. Exactly. So yeah, little Wendy Ward bulges.
Yeah,
What-
and the
what
last
else?
thing, the way he describes physical fitness just sounds deeply inappropriate for every
Oh my
single
gosh.
person
Oh my
involved.
gosh. Yeah. Slow and gently massages.
Yeah.
I don't know where he was going with some of that.
Yeah. It
I'm
was
just going to leave that there.
It was like it was deeply uncomfortable.
Yes.
In certain
Yes, I
moments,
felt awkward,
I was amused.
especially with having my son sitting here across from me.
Yeah. Well, the fact that he was making eye contact and he was like, "Dad, what's a bulge?"
Right.
And I was like, "You're 20-something years old. If you don't know what a bulge is, I'm just sad for you."
Yeah, that's my fault. Thanks again, everybody, for joining us and listening to us as we descend into madness sometimes,
Always.
but enjoyable.
Every time. We've had an extra person be in the room with us last couple of times.
Oh, yeah.
Eric,
Eric.
hope that we missed you, buddy. Hope you can make it back sometime soon. Well, I'm so sorry that I said all those racist things to you. So,
Racist, even though he's the same race as you.
oh, he's not the same ethnicity. He's Irish. All right. Thank you, everybody, for listening. And as a reminder, not all records should be collected. Thank you.
The Final Word podcast is written by Brian Mayer, Steve Beach, and Eric Evans. It's produced by Steve Beach and Cameron Beach. The Final Word podcast is hosted and distributed by Buzzsprout.